But let's see if this is working now. Okay, just gotta check. If I open. Sorry everyone, while I just get used to get this going. Sorry everyone, while I just get used to Okay, I think we're about going. I think we're about good. I'm just going to adjust the music volume a little bit. I'm also going to jump back to our first track. So, if we're jumping in now, welcome. Our audio is provided by the soundtrack to Night of the Living Dead from 1968, the George Romero classic. Though his, my understanding is that this soundtrack is actually it's something that was already public domain, and he had taken from another movie from the 50s. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head, but I wanted to have some kind of background noise that wasn't, so it's not just me talking for however long this goes. I don't really know. I really wanted to get back to streaming, but it's been, it's been a busy time in my life. Things have gotten a little bit complicated in my personal life in a lot of different ways. So, I'm looking forward to getting back into this, though. One of the biggest things that's been warding me off from this is that you might have seen a little bit in my Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader stream that my wireless keyboard is really, really, it's having issues lately. And I have a wired keyboard, but my setup it's not convenient for me to use it. So I have finally ordered, I dragged my feet on it. I finally ordered a USB hub that I can set up to reorganize my setup and use a wired mouse and a wired keyboard that will open the door to me. That'll open the door to me actually getting back into recording a bunch of games that are much more dramatically, they very much more depend upon me having a reactive capacity to play. So like Resident Evil 4 is, it's one I've started on this channel. I would like to finish it before Resident Evil 9 Requiem starts. And I was thinking to myself, for this channel, I could very well do a Resident Evil 3 playthrough, because that's a really quick one. Like, that could be done in a day or two of recording. Like, I could do that in, I could do like I think like 2 4-hour sessions, basically, will be more than enough for me to knock out the Resident Evil 3 remake, I should say. So yeah, there's a few of these kinds of things that have been on my mind, and you know, because I wanted to get back into streaming, I thought to myself, like, okay, you know, let me just come back, do a Zatsudan, as they call it, and just chat for a bit and just talk. And I thought it would be fun to kind of hone back in on horror as a theme. And I never did like a debut video, so to speak, but in terms of talking about a few of the games that I would really like to play on my channel, you know, some things that I know are priorities for me, just like looking at my Steam library right now. Let me take a peek. I would like to play Control. It's not really a horror game, but like New Weird Fiction is like very much engaged with horror, and you know, that would be cool. Crow Country. Maybe I should actually have this as a visual real quick. 1 second, everybody. Let me change my screen selector. Change to Steam real quick. So yeah, Crow Country, which is like a throwback to PS1 horror games. Like, the protagonist is very clearly meant to look like Jill. So Crow Country is on my list. I said Control. Again, more of an action game, but it's still very horror inspired and horror tinged. I've thought about doing a Dark Souls playthrough. Again, it's not really a horror game, but horror informs it, and horror like certainly casts like a shadow over the whole game. I might do that. That could be nice. I've also never actually beaten Dark Souls in all the times that I've played it. My life usually just gets busy in a way that becomes really difficult for me to commit to that. Daymare 1998 is actually something I'm kind of intrigued to. It's another kind of Resident Evil throwback that could be fun. I don't know how long it is, and it has kind of mixed reviews as memory serves, but nevertheless I wouldn't be opposed to doing that. Death Stranding, again, not really horror, but it's been on my mind for a while. I've never gotten to play it. I bought it years ago, but haven't quite had the chance. You know, I maybe I actually shouldn't go too far into this, because I think we're gonna talk about this a little bit in we can talk about this with what I had intended to actually make the stream about, which let me change my screen capture again. Open selector, switch over to Zen browser. There we go. Okay, so I thought I would do a Zatsu, and it'd be fun just to talk a little bit about horror and just like run through some things. And I don't know, tier lists are I don't necessarily want to rely on this kind of like, oh well, we got an ad playing on YouTube. I really should have switched this over to I should have my music playing on there we go. I should have had it on a different window, just because if I had it in a different window, I'd have my YouTube Premium up, so no ads. But I thought it'd be fun to do some tier maker lists. It would be nice just to hit run through some things. It's like a good way to prompt and think about channel layout. And I was also thinking just about movies, because I'm in the process of setting up an NAS, network attached storage, and looking at my movie collection. And I've got back into Blu-ray collecting a little bit lately, and thinking about what movies, like what am I more interested in having digitally versus what do I want to have you know, physically. I thought to myself, let's run through horror movies, and you all can see some of my bona fides regarding the genre, because I've talked a little bit, at least on this channel, about how I want this to be sort of a horror channel, or at least horror adjacent. That's like certainly going to be important to me. And yeah, let's talk horror movies. I think it could just be fun to run through some things. and I won't go in depth about everything, but let's talk. Hopefully I'll be able to see everything with my old man millennial eyes. So first up, we've got 13 Ghosts. I think 13 Ghosts is worth seeing. This is the remake. This is the remake of 13 Ghosts with Tony Shalhoub. There is an original 13 Ghosts from the 1950s, and I think that has Vincent Price in it. But 13 Ghosts is cool. It's not like really a great movie, but it's kind of developed a nice cult following, or a certain amount of fondness. Millennials tend to rather like it, myself included. Yeah, really good movie, really cool movie. There's like surprisingly good, surprisingly strong like lore and world building, and it's not great. It's got a lot of problems, but it's like such a cool foundation. I would actually love to see 13 Ghosts get adapted into a video game. Like, I actually think it has a really amazing... Everything about it is like a perfect setup for a video game, frankly. Like, if I saw it and didn't know it had been based on a 1950s film, I would have assumed it was based on a video game. It takes place in this like really quirky mansion with all of these like shifting glass walls, which becomes this like perfect setup for a video game, where it's like, oh yeah, here's this like environment that you're in that the layout has like a diegetic reason for changing, and that's really cool. And as it changes, it's like opening up these chambers that have different threats in them, as the titular 13 Ghosts, and that's like kind of a perfect setup for increasing levels of difficulty or increasing levels of danger, or even boss fights. So I don't know, I really like, I don't know, it's a cool, fun movie. And I won't go in depth about that many movies, or else we'll be here forever, because this is a lot of movies. I don't know if we'll actually get through this all in one stream, but 13 Ghosts, really, really cool. I do want to just, running back to the 1950s thing, so for people who have seen this one who didn't know it was a 1950s film, you know how in this movie they have like the glasses, and the glasses let them see the ghosts? That is actually a nod back to the 1950s film, because the 1950s film had a gimmick. It was like a gimmick movie from like the 3D movie golden era, right? And the gimmick was that you couldn't see the ghosts in the movie unless you wore the glasses. And it's using like basically 3D, like it's using 3D glasses tech basically, so that the ghosts blend in unless you wear the glasses, and then they become visible. And it looks bad. It's not a good movie, the original, but it's kind of neat. It's kind of neat that the game is based on that, or the movie is based on that. 1408, I don't think it's particularly good. I think it's kind of low on the totem pole personally. I know a lot of people who like it. I'm not among them. 1922, haven't seen, probably not gonna see. I don't know how visible this text is, but yeah, it says probably not gonna see. Oh, someone is replying. Sophie EX Hart, are you open for VTuber, PNGtuber commissions? I design models and stream assets. I'm good, thank you, Sophie. I use public domain art by Beatrix Potter, and I'm also using public domain music. I like public domain stuff. I'm an artist myself also, so like if I ever want to do something original that isn't public domain, I will do it myself. But thank you for reaching out. Thank you for joining the stream, Sophie. Much appreciated. Before I go much further, I should actually run through my ranking system here. Personal favorites are going to be for movies that I'm not necessarily saying are the absolute best, but are movies that are like personally quite important to me. And if I rank it as a personal favorite, I probably am implying it's either outstanding or worth seeing, but I'm kind of giving it its own category just to indicate that I can't set aside my personal bias for it or something. Outstanding, I shouldn't say but not personal, I should say but not favorite. Oh, I have caps lock on. But not favorite is probably a better way to describe it. Um, means that it's like basically top tier, but I'm not gonna like ascribe personal favoritism towards it. Worth seeing is what it sounds like. I think it's like good. Maybe is kind of more like if you like the theming, if you're really into vampire movies or something, and I throw a vampire in the maybe, it's more like, okay, you should probably prioritize that. Whereas if you don't like vampire movies, you can maybe skip it. Probably not just means I don't think it's like particularly good. I might actually kick 1408 up to a maybe. Probably not as kind of what it sounds like. Actually bad is you know, really like the first actual bad category, hence the name actually bad. Probably not doesn't even necessarily mean bad. Probably not just means it might not actually be worth seeing. But again, if you really love the genre or something, or if you love the people involved, there might be some reason to see it, but it's kind of in the continuum with worth seeing. Please don't is I actually think that it's so bad that I'm specifically saying to people, don't watch it. Needs a rewatch is stuff that I don't have a very strong opinion on. And I'm acknowledging that I have seen it, but I don't want to ascribe an opinion to it. Haven't seen and want to, pretty obvious. Haven't seen neutral. Are going to be things that I either haven't heard about or it's just not a priority for me to see. And then this last one, haven't seen, probably not gonna. And let's skip this ad. Sorry, everybody. I might rearrange my windows to get this so we turn off all that. Turn off the ads. But anyway. So yeah, we can keep rolling. Haven't gonna see, probably not gonna. Doesn't necessarily even mean that's not even like necessarily an insult to the film. It might just be something that I'm like personally not at all interested in. Like I have no idea what this is. I don't particularly have strong faith in Netflix's horror film making prowess. So probably just not gonna ever see that. 2001 Maniacs. Haven't seen, probably neutral. Has Robert Englund in it. Not necessarily a pro or a con. He was in a lot of bad movies, so I don't know. 28 Days Later. Outstanding but not a favorite. Obviously, it's kind of a classic. It's like it helped revitalize the zombie genre. If you haven't seen it, I would prioritize it. Like I would say watch 28 Days Later over some of the stuff that'll be in my personal favorites section. 28 Days Later is amazing. It's a really amazing film. This list maybe is old enough that 28 Years Later isn't on here, but I also really liked 28 Years Later. I know a lot of people don't, but at some point I would love to do a little rant about 28 Years Later because I think that movie's awesome. 28 Weeks Later, you might be in the probably not category. It's not bad. It's not particularly good either. I don't have that much to say about it. It is a it's an okay genre exercise. 30 Days of Night is in the maybe zone, I think. Vampire movie functions a little bit more like a zombie movie. It's kind of cool. I don't know. If it's been a while since I've seen it, so I more have an impression of how I felt about it at the time. So I could maybe throw it and needs a rewatch, but yeah, I probably don't care about rewatching it. So I don't know. Maybe that should be its own category. Maybe I should have like a needs a rewatch versus I don't care about rewatching. 47 Meters Down. Don't care. Don't care about its sequel either. As a kid, I had a little bit of thalassophobia, like deep ocean was scary to me. I don't particularly care now. Most ocean horror movies, they don't really bother me. Like I don't know, is Deep Blue Sea on this list? I don't really think that's a horror movie. It's a shark movie, but it's not a horror movie. Yeah, Deep Blue Sea is on here. I love Deep Blue Sea. That movie's awesome. I love Jaws for that matter too. I didn't like Jaws for a long time, but we'll get there when we get there. Let's actually do the Alien movies in the correct order because they're not ordered down here properly. Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Resurrection Covenant. Prometheus, of course, should be in there. And what's the new one called? Romulus? That's not on here. I guess this might be old enough that it wouldn't be. Alien is gonna be the first thing that ends up in my personal favorites section. Love Alien. Great movie. If anyone hasn't seen Alien, it's a pretty outstanding film. It holds up extremely well. I think it holds up extremely well, at least. Yeah, I don't have too much to say about it. Other people have said much smarter things about it than I. Great movie. Brought together a lot of really talented people, actually, including it was a relatively early project of Dan O'Bannon, who would go on to direct Return of the Living Dead, which we'll get to later, another personal favorite. Aliens, we're going to throw up also in the personal favorites section. Like, I might start ranking these also at some point where I'm like, oh, what's ahead of other things? For now, they're side by side, but I might bump things ahead of them. Aliens is a great movie. I don't know if I actually consider it a horror movie per se. Oh, more ads. 1 second, everybody. We're gonna history, previous session.
Hello.
No. Oh, sorry. That's audio in a different YouTube tab. Okay, we'll keep this music playing. And not, there shouldn't be ads playing now because I dropped that in my in a different browser that has YouTube Premium activated. Anyway, Aliens, more of an action movie than a horror movie, famously. I think it's a great movie, so I'll throw it in here anyway. I like Aliens a lot. I am pretty back and forth on whether I like Alien or Aliens more. I think they're actually really complementary to each other, so I think that, like, it's kind of a thing now at this point where I don't think I would ever watch one of them. Like, I pretty much always watch both of them together. I think that they really are, like, I think that they're, like, incredibly effective as a pair of films or two halves of a story. Yeah, I don't know. I can't say enough about them that, you know, other people haven't. I'll also mention, I do own a copy of, what's that game called? Alien Isolation. I do own a copy of that, so we could play that. I played a little bit of it once upon a time, and I never finished it. I hear it gets bad. I hear that, like, the second half of that game is, like, frankly kind of bad. Like, the game is just way longer than it needs to be, and that's always kind of warded me off from getting too deep into it, but we'll consider it. Alien 3. Alien 3, I would say, is a maybe. Alien 3 is pretty divisive. Some people would call it actually bad. Some people say that it's like a secret, like secretly great. I don't think it's great. I think it's probably worth seeing if you like the first ones and you really want to see more. Cool. It's infamous because it takes the series in a direction that a lot of people didn't like. It had kind of a troubled production, and some of the ideas that got left on the cutting room floor, I think most people would agree are, like, more interesting. I shouldn't say most people would agree. A lot of people are more interested in the films that didn't get made than in the film that did get made. It's okay. This is probably gonna be one of my hotter takes. I guess this is the problem with this system, is that, like, I don't want to just say that this is I'm actually gonna maybe change this to good, and then this will be maybe worth seeing. I'll say that's actually good. So actually good, maybe worth seeing, probably not worth seeing, actually bad. That's maybe a better split. Alien Resurrection, I think is actually good. I know a lot of people hate it. A lot of people really hate it. Like a lot of people would call it like a grade F film. I disagree. I think it's like a fun, tight little adventure. It takes place like 200 years after Alien 3 and isn't even about Ripley. It's about a clone of Ripley. So it's like, if you really hate what it does with the story, you don't have to worry about it. Like, you don't have to care. Like, it might as well be like an Elseworlds title. You know what I mean? Like in the superhero comic book sense. Like, it might as well be an Elseworlds, or like an alternate universe or whatever, because it's like, it's not about the woman who is in the first 3 Alien films. It's about a clone of her completely removed from time, like hundreds of years later. I think it's cool. Directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who's known for films like Delicatessen and City of Lost Children, and later Amélie, the French romantic comedy. I think it's a good movie. I like it. I'm not afraid to say that. Alien Covenant, probably not worth seeing. Pretty bad. I don't know if I would go so far as to say that it's actually bad. I think it's not as bad as people say it is. In the same way, I do think it's bad, but not as bad as people say it is. Resurrections, I think, is good. AVP Requiem. I don't know why this is showing up, but not regular Alien versus Predator. It's kind of funny to me that this is on here. Why is this here and not the other one? I guess I'll talk about both AVPs. I think they're probably not worth seeing. I might even put them into actually bad. I don't know. The first Alien versus Predator, I don't think is actually particularly bad. I don't think it's really worth seeing at all, but like, it's fine. It's an okay movie. Requiem, I don't particularly remember, but I remember it being worse, so I'll drop it in the actually bad section. We've got the 2 American Psycho films. These aren't horror movies. I don't like them being on this list. I maybe should add another section at the bottom for like, this isn't a horror movie, but I don't know if I also want to I don't know if I want to litigate that all that much. I guess we will. Though. Why is there no... I don't know. I'll do a different purple. Oh wait, no, I just changed that one. That goes back to dark. Then we add a row below. Not a horror movie, doesn't belong on here. American Psycho, good movie. Not a horror movie, doesn't belong on here. American Psycho 2, really bad, horrible movie. Still not a horror movie. Stars Mila Kunis. Really, really young Mila Kunis, I believe, if memory serves. Is that her on the cover? I think it is. Famously not made as an American Psycho movie, and they like retooled the film late into production by adding they add like a narration sequence at the start of the film to indicate that she is Patrick Bateman's sister and that she kills him. I think something like that. But we never see him, and he never really factors into the plot. It's completely silly. It's just a bad film. Don't watch it. American Werewolf in London. Actually good. Good, funny, weird movie. It almost qualifies in the not a horror movie section, but I think that like thematically it's more of a horror film than the American Psycho films are, certainly. Good, weird, funky movie. I think this is a John Landis film. Fuck that guy, but cool, weird, funny movie. about what the title says. An American hitchhiker is in the UK, gets bit by a werewolf, becomes terrified that he's going to be becoming a werewolf. Cool movie. An American Werewolf in Paris. I have never seen. Oh, where did I drop it? We'll find it again at some point. Oh, there we go. I haven't seen. I'll probably say neutral. I don't. I think this is like a 90s, like much later sequel. I don't know why it exists. Amity Horror 79. Haven't seen neutral. I'm gonna put all of the other Amities in not interested, probably. I am not big into haunting movies. I'm not scared by them. I just don't find them very interesting most of the time. I think they're usually pretty dull. I think that there's certainly good ones out there, but I think that they're like among the least interesting types of horror films. The original Anaconda is actually bad. Don't recommend it. There's a remake that came out, I think, like in the past month. That is more of a comedy. Don't care about that either. I probably won't see it. Original Anaconda, though, just bad. Yeah, Jennifer Lopez, John Voight, Ice Cube. Bad movie. The Annabelle films. Haven't seen, probably not going to. Kind of fits into the ghost talk that we were talking about. Possessed Doll, don't really care. I don't think these films are actually even supposed to be bad, and that's also true of the Amityville films. Like, I think the original Amityville Horror is supposed to be fine. I think it's supposed to be like a totally okay movie. Don't care. Annihilation. Annihilation is somewhere going to be between outstanding and personal favorites. I think I'll just put it in outstanding for now. We'll see how things round out. Alex Garland, though, with Natalie Portman, Oscar Isaac. Really great film. Really incredible. Strange. Eerie film. I don't want to spoil anything about it, but I will say, for people who have seen it, everybody always says the bear sequence is so scary. I think the bear sequence is very cool, and it's very, very tense. I think, without wanting to spoil it, I think that the finale in the lighthouse is remarkable and like upsettingly scary, in a way that, like, I'm not an easily scared person. Like, I've consumed so much horror movie, so much horror media at this point. In general, I'm not a flappable person, but I found the finale to Annihilation, the lighthouse sequence, to be like real deeply and fundamentally conceptually scary, in a way that you just don't get from most films. We'll keep going. Antlers, I have not seen. I actually hear kind of good things about it, I think, if I'm remembering the right film. So I guess I'll throw that in my want to pile. Apollo 18, I haven't seen. I don't know anything about it. Apt Pupil, same. As Above, So Below, I really would like to see. I believe, I'm not positive. Let me check lower in this. Is this... where is Night? Night. So here's a bunch of nights. I'm not positive. I might just be confusing because the poster design. The poster design looks to me like this French movie, The Night Eats the World. Maybe I'm confusing it with that one, and I know I want to see that one, so I'm gonna put, if As Above, So Below is not the same movie as The Night Eats the World, then more fool me. ATM, don't know what it is, don't care. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, worth seeing. Actually good, I should say. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is awesome, super fun, super funny. There's an animated series in the 90s, which is a little bit silly, but might have been in the 80s. But Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, pretty forgotten at this point. The one thing that I would say is particularly funny about it in a in like a lasting cultural sense is that like the point of reference that people who aren't horror movie fans and aren't specifically like 80s horror movie 70s 80s horror movie fans might know about Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is that in the opening animation for the first season of Chainsaw Man, there's like all those rapid cuts that are a bunch of references to different horror movies. One of the rapid cuts is a scene from Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. So if you've seen Chainsaw Man, you've at minimum seen a reference to Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Autopsy of Jane Doe. I think this one's actually supposed to be good. I'll throw it and haven't seen want to. I won't be prioritizing it, but there it is. Oh, here's AVP. So for whatever reason, AVP was way lower than AVP Requiem. I'll put this in probably not, but maybe worth seeing, but probably not. Original AVP, Alien vs. Predator. Babadook. Actually good. I'm not going to say much more about it. Again, people have said more about it than I have. It would be pretty low in my actually good section. Or maybe at the very top of the maybe worth seeing section. Maybe that's where I'll put it for now. Let's rearrange some of these a little. Yeah, something like that. Much has been written about it. Much has been said about it. Babadook, LGBTQ icon. I don't feel that strongly about it. I think it's like a solid horror film, but amidst the prestige horror renaissance that we've had in the past 15 years, I think it's kind of a lower priority than a lot of other films, but it's solid. It's like a totally good like it's a good genre exercise amidst amidst a time period when we were spoiled for good options. Babysitter, I don't really know, and I don't have any opinion on. Bait, I also don't know anything about, don't have any opinion on. Barbarian, here we go. Another in personal favorites. One of the newest ones that we'll have in personal favorites as well. Barbarian is amazing. Barbarian is like an unbelievably good film. Like shockingly good film. I don't want to spoil anything about it. I don't want to spoil anything about it. I do think that the first 30 or 40 minutes, the first act, however we want to define that. I guess I don't exactly know how long it is, but I think the first act of Barbarian is one of the best slow builds ever in horror, period. Like, I think that it is not just like a great movie, but like that first act of Barbarian is about as good as any horror movie has ever been, I think. And the end of the first act, I think is for me, it's, besides the fact that it's just good, besides the fact that it is like a good movie, and it's well directed and the whole sequence is really good, for me personally, the end of the first act of Barbarian is, again, like top 5 maybe scariest things ever put to film. It is unbelievably well directed. as a slow build. I was talking to my friend about it, and his phrase was that he had seen it with a friend of his, and they after the end of the first act, they basically like paused the film and they like went outside for a cigarette, because he and his friend both smoke, and they go outside for a cigarette, and they like stood in silence for a while, and then they like basically had to be like, do we want to continue watching this movie? Because if it gets worse than that, I don't know if we will, like, in terms of like, it's not that gory, like certainly not like the part I'm talking about, but like they had to have a conversation about like, this was scary to a degree that we need to like consider whether or not it is worth continuing watching this film. And they did, and they liked it, and I like it too. I think it's a great movie. Besides being scary, I think it's a really thoughtful movie. I think it's a really smart movie. If I were a video essayist, I would want to write an essay about Barbarian. I think it's like an incredibly interesting film. The Basket Case films. Basket Case, I don't think it's actually good, but I do think it's maybe worth seeing. Funny, goofy, very just goofy, campy horror. It's fun. Basket Case 2 and 3, I actually haven't seen. I'll put them under haven't seen neutral. I've never prioritized seeing them. I'm sure it's more Basket Case, maybe. I don't know. Bats, I have... Oh, I dropped it again. Bats, I have seen. I don't remember it at all, so it needs a rewatch. Let's check where's our music at. We are on the final song of the Night of the Living Dead soundtrack. Well, the soundtrack's not that long, huh? What do we do for background music, everybody? I actually have some music thoughts that I like. I want to use some Reverend Glasseye music in one of my streams at some point, and I think I'm like I'm almost 100% certain that I will not get like copyright flagged for putting up Reverend Glasseye in the background of my videos, but I don't have that on this computer right now, so we'll probably just go back to the start of the soundtrack. And sorry if this gets irksome to others, but I don't want to just have generic audio. Anyway. Becky, I don't know what this is. I'm neutral, I guess. I don't know anything about it. Wrath of Becky, same thing. I don't know if I care. Before I Wake, I don't know anything about, but that's a dumb poster, so it's going in. Probably not gonna. I love horror posters. Like, I think that horror posters and horror novel covers and horror aesthetics are so juicy, so strong, so cool, that when I see one that sucks, it's like I feel particularly warded off wanting to even care or try. Behind the Mask, Rise of Leslie Vernon, I think is just actually good. Horror comedy. It's about it's like a mockumentary of a film crew following around a guy who's trying to like build up his rep as a slasher movie villain. It is very funny, but it actually effectively builds up towards a finale that is surprising, and it actually skews a little bit more towards horror than you might think in the initial hour or so of the film. It is very much a comedy mockumentary. It kind of effectively turns itself into a horror movie. Belko Experiment, I don't know what this is. I'll put it under neutral, I guess. Better Watch Out, don't know. I presume it's another Santa Claus horror. Don't particularly care. Bird Box. This is probably one of the biggest name horror movies I haven't seen. I guess I kind of want to watch it to eventually know what's up with it, but I don't care that much, so I don't know. The Birds, Alfred Hitchcock, actually good. Good movie. One of the first horror movies I would have ever been exposed to. My parents were big Hitchcock fans. They were not really horror movie fans, but The Birds is one of Hitchcock's horror movies, not so much a thriller. Doesn't hold up the best, but I do actually think it is a good movie. Stars the beautiful Tippi Hedren, horribly mistreated by Hitchcock, unfortunately. Black Christmas, 1974, is I think maybe worth seeing. It's either maybe worth seeing or on the very low end of actually good. I'm not mega into holiday horror, but Black Christmas is solid. Not as good as like a My Bloody Valentine, but it's fine. Black Christmas 2006, I haven't seen. I'm kind of neutral on seeing it. There were so many horror remakes in the 2000s. We're going to hit a bunch more of them. Some are good. A lot are very forgettable. Black Christmas 2019, I don't know anything about. I don't know if it was well received or poorly received. So I'm going to just throw it under neutral. Black Demon, I don't know. But again, like I said, with the 47 meters deep, Thalassophobia is whatever. Black Phone, I hear is good. I don't care that much about it, but I think I'll check it out. Blair Witch movies. This is probably my hot take. This isn't one of the hotter takes we're going to have in the entire list. I don't particularly care for the original Blair Witch Project. I don't think it's a bad movie. So I'm going to say it's maybe worth not seeing. You know what? No, I'll just be spicy. I'll be spicy with it and just say the Blair Witch Project is actually bad. Famously one of the best marketing campaigns of all time. I think the last half hour of the film is like pretty good. I think like much of the film's first half is just annoying. I think it's one of the worst things you can say about a piece of art, to be like, oh yeah, this movie is annoying. And I kind of feel like a lot of the start of Blair Witch Project is just annoying. Blair Witch 2 I've never seen, probably never gonna, don't care. Blair Witch 2016, I have heard mixed things about, so I'll throw it in the neutral zone. Blob 1950s. Famously, I think Steve McQueen's first movie ever, as a very young man. Not super young, but younger than you will have seen him. I think he's supposed to be playing a high schooler, but he's like 25. It's an okay movie. We'll zoom past that. The Blob, personal favorite. The Blob would be pretty high. If I start ranking these, The Blob will be pretty high up there. The 80s Blob remake is an extremely good movie. It's not like it's not a piece of high art, but it is like the highest elevation of kitschy horror. It is an extremely well executed example of, we have a silly story, we have really gory effects, we have like big theatrical bombastic notions, and we're gonna do it as perfectly as it can be done. Like, if you've seen Tremors, I think Tremors is very similar to The Blob. Like Tremors, actually, The Blob also has an unbelievably tight script written by Frank Darabont, the guy who wrote Shawshank Redemption, wrote and directed Shawshank Redemption. wrote The Blob. He also did The Mist. He did season 1 of The Walking Dead. The Blob is awesome. The movie, as I said, it's really tight. There's all these throwbacks. There's all these like Chekhov's guns that get set up. Unbelievable practical effects. I can't say enough good about The Blob. I have the 4K Blu-ray over on my shelf. I watched that a few months ago. I already want to watch it again. Bone Tomahawk. Another pretty spicy take, actually bad. A lot of people love this one. People think of it as like among the earlier examples of the kind of prestige return to horror renaissance. I think it's actually bad. I won't go too much into it. Scaredy Cats, which is the spin-off channel from Thought Slime. Thought Slime, the video essayist, has a channel that focuses on horror called Scaredy Cats. Has a great video about Bone Tomahawk and why it sucks. And I agreed with everything in that video. The Boogeyman, I don't think I really know. I'm neutral to. The Boy looks bad. I don't care. Brain Scan, I don't know, but this is a appetite whetter. Look at this great poster. This gets me intrigued. I don't know anything about Brain Scan, but looking at that poster, I'm like, shit, I need to see Brain Scan now. Bride of Frankenstein with Karloff is it's on the low end of actually good. I should start ranking some of these. I think this is probably an okay ordering. Bride of Frankenstein, classic. Brightburn, I need to rewatch. I'm pretty sure I've seen it, and I remember almost nothing about it. I think it's something that I watched on a plane and might have like half slept through. That's nobody's fault but mine. The Brood. Brood? Very, very, very early Cronenberg. I like The Brood. I saw it for the first time maybe about a year ago. Really cool. Really fun. Really fun. A little bit creepy. It's goofy. It's low budget, but I think it's actually quite cool. I thought it was a cool little movie. It doesn't keep up with some of his other stuff, but I'm happy to have watched it. I will watch it again. Cabin Fever, the original Cabin Fever, by Eli Roth. Maybe worth seeing. Very gory. It's gore porn, but not necessarily torture porn. If you want some gross effects, Cabin Fever is there for you. Cabin Fever remake reboot. I'm neutral about. I hear it's also good, but I don't know anything about it really. Cabin in the Woods. I'm probably just going to throw into the actually good pile, but not the outstanding pile. I know a lot of people are going to be expecting me to throw it in the outstanding pile. I think it's a good movie, but one of the things that's kind of throwing me off from it being outstanding is that, like, I saw it once and I was like, damn, that's a good movie. Have never once thought to myself, I want to rewatch it. And that lack of permanence makes it hard for me to think that it should be an outstanding. Like, I'd be more inclined to throw American Werewolf in London, Behind the Mask, into outstanding. Honestly, even 13 Ghosts, which, again, it's not a great movie, but it's so fun and so rewatchable. I don't know. Like, it's like the Popeyes of horror movies, where it's like, yeah, it is just fast food, but it's like kind of as good as fast food's gonna be. Candyman Farewell to the Flesh is a sequel. I don't know anything about it, so I'm going to throw that in neutral. Candyman 3, same. I presume this must be 2 and 3. Candyman the original is I think maybe worth seeing. Again, it's either on the very low end of actually good or kind of on the high end of maybe worth seeing. Candyman, interesting film. I don't actually think it's that good of a movie, but it's so interesting and has so many good ideas that I think it's kind of worth watching. The Candyman reboot from 2021, I have not seen. I kind of do want to see it. I've heard kind of mixed things about it, but it sounds interesting to me. So maybe at some point. Captivity, I don't know. Probably not gonna. That's not a good poster. Cargo, I actually hear is kind of good. Don't know anything about it. Carrie remake, I hear, is kind of bad. I can't have an opinion on it since I haven't seen it, so I guess I'll throw it in neutral. But I don't know. Original Carrie, the OG. I think it might be worth seeing. I don't love Carrie. I think it's a totally fine film. I don't know if I care that much about it though. So There It Lives. Cat's Eye. I don't know anything about. Looks bad. The Cave, I also don't know. It looks like a thalassophobia movie. It's got a better poster than a lot, so I'll throw it in there. Cell. I think it's just Cell, not The Cell. If it was Tarsem Singh's The Cell, I would throw that pretty high up on the list. I don't know what this is. It really, that's maybe the worst poster we've seen so far. Changeling, probably not worth seeing. I might knock that down actually to actually bad. I'll keep it in probably not, because it's funnier to have it above Bone Tomahawk and Blair Witch Project. Chernobyl Diaries. I've never seen this. It's been on my list for a while. Cherry Falls, don't know, looks bad. Children of the Corn 2023, I don't know anything about it. So I'll probably just throw it under neutral. Children of the Corn 84, it's either probably not or on the low end of maybe worth seeing. It's a pretty bad, pretty boring film. I kind of like it aesthetically anyway. It's got some cool ideas and some cool, gross visuals. It's not that gory as memory serves, but I don't know. I'll put it in the probably not zone. I think that's fair enough. OG original Child's Play. Maybe worth seeing. I don't think it's actually. I don't understand why people love Chucky. I don't think he's like a particular. Child's Play is where Chucky is from. If you've ever heard of serial killer, evil doll Chucky, that's the Child's Play series. I don't think they're that good. The first one is kind of funny and clever. The other ones, man, maybe I should have had another category for just like sequel dumping, because I feel like this is a lot of Child's Plays. I actually do kind of want to see the remake because it has I think it has Mark Hamill as Chucky. But man, this is so many sequels to puff up Buff up a category. I don't think I've seen any of the sequels. I've never seen Bride of Chucky, which is one of the more known ones. I guess I'm just gonna dump them all in. Probably not gonna. Man, there's a lot of sequels. Christine, I think it's probably not worth seeing. I think it's pretty low on the list of King adaptations, personally. It's not bad. It's not like... I don't think it's actually a bad movie. I think it is... it's just not a priority. Don't waste your time with it. I still haven't seen 10 Cloverfield Lane, believe it or not. I do actually want to see that one. Original Cloverfield is... When I saw it in theaters initially, I didn't think it was actually that good. In retrospect, I think it's actually maybe worth seeing. I think it's an interesting movie. Like Candyman, I think it falls into this category of, like, in some regards, it actually isn't that good, but it has so many interesting ideas that it is maybe worth seeing. Clown House, I don't know what you are, but we'll throw you under neutral because you got... I like the audacity. Cobweb from the producers of It. Don't know. Don't really care, but you have an okay enough poster for me to throw under neutral. Collector. This is one that I've seen forever on like streaming services, and I think I might have even seen it back in the day on like VHS covers or DVD covers at the video store. Creaky old man that I am. Don't know anything about it. I'm not mega motivated. I should probably throw it on my haven't seen want to list just because I've seen it so many times. The Collection I don't particularly care about, but we'll throw it there. Come Play looks like one of these a million things like it. Don't care. Conjuring. I have seen The Conjuring, and this is one of... I think it's on the low end of probably not worth seeing. Haunting films, I don't particularly care for. It's not actually bad, but I don't have a strong feeling about it. Conjuring 2, never gonna watch. Conjuring something, I will never watch. Countdown, I don't know anything about. An okay looking poster. The Craft, real classic here. The Craft, I'm definitely not leaving it. Please don't, if your heart skipped a beat. I think The Craft is actually good. It's goofy. It's very, very, it's very, very camp. It's a little kitsch. It's goofy. It's sassy. It's worth watching. It's so fun. Definitely watch The Craft. Funny thing, if you do watch The Craft, and there's a couple sequences that, like, if you feel like it itching the back of your brain and you're like, I know I've seen this before, where have I seen this? If you, as a child or whenever, ever watched the show X-Men Evolution, X-Men Evolution rotoscoped a couple scenes from The Craft. There's like a couple scenes of, I think it's the Bayville Sirens episodes, I think that's what they were called, where like the girl mutants like started their own sub-vigilante group. And that episode rotoscopes, like in general, X-Men Evolution rotoscoped a bunch from different movies and stuff. It rotoscoped from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It rotoscoped from, I think, from Blade, and a few others. And yeah, The Craft is one of the many things that it sampled from. Crawl, I don't know. I presume it's about a crawl space, like under a building in Louisiana or something. It's got an alligator. Probably will never see. I don't know if I care. The Crazies, but it's just the remake, not the original. The original, of course, is early George Romero. I think it's his fourth film. Because after Night of the Living Dead, he does Season of the Witch. Is that what it's called? He does. I gotta look it up. I'm a bad Romero fan. He does. Well, I know he did this movie called There's Always Vanilla, which is like a extremely strange film. Yeah, There's Always Vanilla is like a weird movie, and I think those are his first three. And then I think Crazy is number 4. Okay, so yeah, Season of the Witch is number 3, Crazies is number 4. So There's Always Vanilla is a really weird pseudo drama. Season of the Witch is comedy, kind of. I guess drama. I don't know. There's Always Vanilla is also kind of like a drama comedy. I think There's Always Vanilla is kind of weird and fascinating as a movie, but original Crazies from the 70s is dope. It if you've ever seen both Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, the Crazies so explains the space between those two. It's a bummer it's not on this list. I would probably throw Crazies in the actually good category. The remake I only have seen once. I saw it when I was in college. I vaguely remember it being actually good, though, so I'll throw it on the low end of actually good. Creature from the Black Lagoon original is maybe worth seeing. If you like 50s horror, have fun with it. Creep movies I don't know anything about. We're going to dump those. Don't care. Creepshow I think is going to be somewhere between outstanding and personal favorites. I think I'll throw it in I'm going to throw it in personal favorites. Why not? Creepshow is an anthology horror film. It is also George Romero. Creepshow is early 80s. It was co-produced with Stephen King. I think he was a producer, and he also acts in it, actually. He plays, like, not just, like, he doesn't just have a cameo. Like, he's, like, the main character of one of the little subsections of this, like, feature-length anthology film. I think it's a good movie. I think it's... I don't want to spoil anything about it, but it's real cool. It's got this, like, comic book theming that, like, I'm not crazy about as, like, a framework for the movie, but the individual sections are all... I think they're all pretty strong. The Stephen King one is held back a little bit by the fact that his acting isn't particularly good. But his section is actually kind of creepy and unnerving in a way that his acting mercifully is saved in part by the creepy ending. Creepshow 2 may be worth seeing. It's not nearly as good as the first one. I don't remember Creepshow 2 super well. I remember one of the sequences being very, very good. I don't want to spoil it, but it's the raft sequence. If anyone has seen that, you know what I'm talking about. The raft one is, like, incredibly effective and upsetting and, like, pretty nasty. Like, it's a pretty nasty little short film. Crimson Peak. Crimson Peak is actually good. I know a lot of people who went into it and were disappointed. It's not... Okay, what I'll say about it is Crimson Peak maybe actually belongs in the not a horror movie section. I guess I could have also said that about The Craft. But Crimson Peak is more of a drama than it is a horror movie. It is a drama with ghosts. But it's good. I like it. Don't go into it expecting a horror movie. But, you know, it is what it is. I think it's good. It don't think it's about being scary, though. The Critters films I've never seen. I've never been super motivated to see them. I guess I'll throw them all in not gonna see, except for maybe Critters 1 which I'll probably put in neutral because maybe someday I'll check out Critters 1. Crow is not a horror movie. Cry Wolf, I've never seen. I hear it's actually kind of good, so I'll do a neutral. Cujo is probably the biggest King adaptation I've never seen. I probably should rectify that at some point. Cursed, don't know. Dark Half is going to be needs a rewatch. I don't actually remember it almost at all. Now, I will say one thing that is becoming a problem is I do avoid very bad horror movies. So there's not much in the please don't section, but we'll maybe get to it sooner. Dark Skies, I actually do want to see. If this is the one that I'm thinking, is this the UFO one? I think it's the UFO one. We'll hold off on it for now. Darkness Falls, don't know about what you are, but you don't look good. The Darkness, you look worse. Is that Kevin Bacon? Looks like Kevin Bacon. I don't know what The Darkness is, but I don't know if I care. Dawn of the Dead original, 1978. George A. Romero. Personal favorite, without a doubt. I might put it all the way at the top of this list. Probably my favorite film of all time. Can't speak highly enough of it. Just incredible film all around. I'm sure I'll rant about it more during a Let's Play at some point because so many games reference back to it. Dead Rising, most famously, is like a giant Dawn of the Dead homage. Left 4 Dead has a Dawn of the Dead level. World War Z, the shooter, not the movie, has a Dawn of the Dead level. You can't get away from it. It's the thing I will say about Dawn of the Dead is a horror movie. It is not that scary, especially for the first... I'm going to say most of the movie. Most of the movie isn't that scary. It is depressing and it is sad throughout at points. It is mostly not very scary. I don't think it's actually trying to be. It's more of an adventure. But I think the end has a certain kind of like... I don't know if terror is quite the right word. I would say the ending of the film inspires dread. And I think that is one of the moments in which it very much succeeds as a horror movie. In addition to which, so much of its themes and aesthetics relate to horror as a genre that I can't not call it a horror movie. But be aware that it's like not a movie that's always trying to scare you. In many regards, Dawn of the Dead is... It's a dark comedy, it's a political satire, it's a heist film in some regards. As I said, it's an adventure. But it's not strictly a horror film. Dawn of the Dead remake. Very first film directed by Zack Snyder, of course, of the DCEU infamy or just fame if you like him. Also directed 300, also directed Guardians of Ga'Hoole, among other things. His very first movie, written by one James Gunn, who's now in charge of the DC movies for Warner Brothers. So James Gunn wrote, and Zack Snyder directed. Very beloved remake, very much hot on the coattails of 28 Days Later. On the coattails of 28 Days Later, helped to bring zombies back in the 2000s. Um, I'm gonna probably put it on the low end of actually good. My feelings about it have changed a lot over time. I don't think it's nearly as good as the original. I actually think it's kind of a dumb movie in many regards. Um, I don't think it's a bad movie. Um, it has a few weird structural problems. I might put it at the top of maybe worth seeing. I think it has a few major structural problems that keep it from really being good, much less great. I don't think it's a great film. I don't think it's close to being a great film even, but a lot of people like it, so I think it should be at the top of maybe worth seeing, because a lot of people do really like this movie. Um, Dead Silence is in that category if I just don't care. Death Proof, not a horror movie. Death Proof is a thriller by Quentin Tarantino. It's kind of a good movie. It was paired as part of the Grindhouse duology, I guess. Double feature is the better film with Planet Terror. Is Planet Terror on here? Yes, it is. Okay, we'll do Planet Terror right now. So if anyone is too young to remember, Death Proof and Planet Terror were released in theaters together. And not only were they released in theaters together in the sense of being at the same time, but it's like it was a 4-hour experience that you go to the theater and you buy one ticket and you get both movies. And in between those movies, instead of having like a regular sequence, they had a fake intermission with fake trailers for fake horror movies, and the fake horror movie trailers were directed by a bunch of like famous directors. I should actually look that up for you. So yeah, the whole experience was billed as Grindhouse. Like it was called Grindhouse. It was I actually had the poster. I had like a physical full-size movie poster of the double feature of Planet Terror and Death Proof. The fake trailers. Let me find the names of them all. So one of them was for Machete, which Robert Rodriguez would later direct an actual feature-length Machete film with Danny Trejo. That was probably the best known of all of them. Rob Zombie contributed a trailer called Werewolf Women of the SS. SS as in Nazis. Starring Nicolas Cage as Fu Manchu and Udo Kier as Franz Hess, Commandant of Death Camp 13. So it was that's a high production one. Werewolf Women of the Nazis, basically. Edgar Wright of Shaun of the Dead fame and Hot Fuzz, etc., directed a Hammer House of Horror style film trailer called Don't. Just the word Don't. Eli Roth contributed one called Thanksgiving. Particularly gross trailer, even as far as Eli Roth goes. Like a Thanksgiving themed horror film. He would much later, like more than 15 years later, go on to actually adapt it into a feature length film. There was a fake trailer for a movie called Hobo with a Shotgun that would likewise later go on to become a real film. With Rutger Hauer of all people, and that wasn't directed by anyone famous as far as I can tell. I thought there were more trailers than this, but maybe I guess I was wrong. But still, cool thing. You go to the theater, you get one long experience, and that's like a neat idea. we're getting close to the end of our Night of the Living Dead soundtrack again. We're going to loop it back to the start. And after 3 times, I'll probably just be tired of the soundtrack. So we are probably going to mix it up and listen to something else. But while this runs out its track, I will I got to go grab a water bottle real quick, everybody. So I'll be right back. All right, everybody, I'm back. When I say grab a water bottle, I mean grab the water bottle that's by my bed. It's a big old 1.5 liter bottle that I drink over and over and over again. Pardon me while I do that. I'm going to mute the mic. You're going to listen to the very last track of Night of the Living Dead soundtrack while I chug some water.
Another one for the fire.
All right. I am getting tired of the soundtrack. I should have prepared more public domain music than what, as it turns out, is like a 30-minute soundtrack. We jump back to the first. Anyway, we were talking Grindhouse. So Death Proof is okay. It's a weird movie. Frequently cited as Tarantino's worst, which I don't entirely disagree with. Planet Terror was directed by Robert Rodriguez. I think Planet Terror is a hell of a lot of fun. I think it's somewhere in the actual good category. It's very silly. It's more of a horror comedy than it is like an actual horror film, but it's very fun. It's very goofy. As you can see, there's a lady who, instead of having a prosthetic leg, has a assault rifle for a leg. It has what's his name? The guy who plays Thanos. Why is his name escaping me right now? In any case, quite a few good people involved with that movie, and it's fun, it's funny, it's this name is itching the back of my brain right now. Josh Brolin. Also had Rose McGowan, of course, as the main character. Freddie Rodriguez, always a face I like to see in a really cool kind of action role. Tom Savini from Dawn of the Dead actually acts in Planet Terror. He also acts in the Dawn of the Dead remake, unsurprisingly, but it's more interesting that he's in Planet Terror, because of course he would show up in the Dawn of the Dead remake. So did Ken 4E and a bunch of other people from the original Dawn of the Dead. Back into alphabetical order we go. Deep Blue Sea, I mentioned. This movie is incredibly stupid. I don't know if I want to call it actually good. It's either maybe worth seeing or actually good. I think I'm going to put it into actually good. It's very campy. It's very stupid. It's not particularly scary. I think it has a good conceit, though. I think it like organizes itself pretty effectively as a film. Um, has a bunch of I don't know, bunch of super big brain sharks hunting people down in an underwater laboratory that is flooding, so they need to get to the surface. Silly premise, stupid for a million reasons, but fun movie. Fun movie. I have rewatched it a number of times. I will probably watch it again. Deep Rising, I've never seen. I feel like it's one I should see, so I'll throw it in the want to. Deliver Us from Evil, or is it Deliver Us from Devil? That's a bad layout. I'm gonna throw that and don't want to watch. Demonic Toys, I don't know, but rad poster, so that's gonna go in the want to section. Dentist, don't care, don't want to. I'm not afraid of the dentist. I've always gone to the dentist happily. I've never had a cavity in my life. Old man that I am. Does not interest me whatsoever. The Descent. Descent is outstanding. Not a personal favorite, but The Descent is outstanding. Incredibly good movie. Make sure that you watch the original international cut, sometimes listed as the director's cut, or the extended cut or something like that, not the American cut. The American cut has a bad ending. Not a bad ending, it's just a worse ending. I think it undercuts one of the chief motifs of the film. Without wanting to spoil too much, the original ending is much sadder. The American ending is a little bit happier, but like the sadder ending, it's not just like good for the sake of being like sadder. It's that like the descent as a motif isn't just about physical descent into space, which is the kind of obvious read on the title, but it's also about the descent into madness and these characters who are kind of like turning on each other in this like incredibly difficult situation. Basically an all-female cast. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's about a group of women who go spelunking. That is it spelunking? Just caving. I think they're just caving. They go caving in unmapped caves. They end up getting trapped, and they realize that they're trapped in there with some kind of cannibalistic, blind, humanoid creatures of some kind. But as I said, like it's not just about a physical descent into space as they're trying to find an outlet on the cave that they're in, but it's also about this descent into madness as the characters really start turning on each other, or there's all these concerns about what petty grievances are informing how they are handling each other. And just a great movie, generally regarded as one of the best horror films of the 2000s, which was kind of a dearth for great horror films. So if you haven't seen The Descent, like prioritize it. It's like a really, really good one. Descent 2 is just actually bad. I don't want to say much about it. It sucks. Devil. M. Night Shyamalan. Devil. Never seen it, probably won't. I like M. Night Shyamalan. I'm actually kind of a M. Night defender, and I don't care about Devil. Disturbing Behavior, I have no opinion on. Doesn't look like a horror movie from the poster. Dog Soldiers, maybe worth seeing. Dog Soldiers was directed by the same guy who directed The Descent, coincidentally. Werewolf movie. Cool movie. Other people would probably throw it in actually good or maybe even outstanding. I don't think it's that good. It's fine. Donnie, I'll hit S. Darko real quick. S. Darko, I haven't seen, I don't want to. I hear it's bad. Donnie Darko, I don't think is actually a horror movie. Donnie Darko is a pretty good movie. Watch the theatrical cut, not the director's cut. One rare example of a movie where the director's cut is, in fact, worse. Most people seem to agree that the guy who made Donnie Darko is probably just a bad director. He went on to direct Southland Tales, which is one of my favorite movies, but is a bad movie. Directed, I think, a movie called The Box or The Button, something like that. Not a well-respected director. His version of Donnie Darko is worse than the theatrical version. I don't think it's a horror movie. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. I don't know what this is. It's an okay poster. I could throw it in neutral. Don't Breathe. I don't know anything about. It's a solid looking poster, so I'll throw that there. Don't Breathe 2, I'll throw in our haven't seen, probably not gonna section. I really should have made like a sequel Hell as a tier. Dr. Giggles. Don't know what that is. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look bad. I'll throw him in neutral. Paging Dr. Giggles in neutral ward. Original Dracula. The classic one. You probably don't need to see. I don't think it's actually a very good movie. It's fine. Drag Me to Hell. Drag Me to Hell, I don't think you need to see. Drag Me to Hell is a later day Sam Raimi. I thought it was, in a conversation similar to Blair Witch Project, Drag Me to Hell is kind of annoying. I don't think it's as bad as Blair Witch Project. It's funnier. I don't want to spoil anything about it, but I think it's kind of smart and has a few interesting ideas. But it is kind of an annoying movie. And I do think annoying is like one of the worst things a piece of art can be. But it is Sam Raimi. Raimi, in a mainstream sense, people will of course know him as the guy who directed the Spider-Man films. But he really got his career started with horror. Like, he did the Evil Dead trilogy. And this Dragged Me to Hell was like his big, splashy return to horror. I remember being very excited to see it. I saw it in theaters. And I thought it was annoying. I should maybe rewatch it. I'm not going to put it in needs a rewatch because I have a pretty good memory of it. But, like, I'll admit part of why it probably felt annoying was that my theater, the volume was just tuned way too high. But I don't think that excuses the fact that it's annoying. Like, it contributed to how annoying it is. I think Descent is going to be in Please Don't. Descent 2 is Please Don't. Anyway. But I don't think it's a very good movie. So I'm going to say probably not. If you're like a Raimi completionist, go for it. If you really like... It's a curse type movie. It's about a lady who gets cursed. Is my music still playing? No, that's not the right window. Yes, it is. It's just very low. Okay. I took off my headphones for a minute to let my ears cool off. Lady gets cursed, is trying to figure out ways to get out of being cursed. It's smart, which is too bad because it's annoying. Dreamcatcher. I have never seen. It's. I maybe at one point would have put it under want to see. I don't think I care anymore now. Neutral. The Empty Man. I don't know anything about this one. Okay looking poster. Escape Room. Don't know anything about, but probably bad. Escape Room 2, same. Evil Dead. This is the remake. We'll do all the Evil Deads together. I don't know why they got out of order. Event Horizon. Event Horizon, I'm probably split between outstanding and personal favorites. I'll put it under outstanding, though. I don't think it's actually a favorite. I'm not often compelled to rewatch it, but very good movie, very cursed movie. My favorite part of Event Horizon's curse story that just sounds so fake is it had these really, really horrific gore sequences that were very, very long, and they got cut. And it was believed that all of this was lost footage, and the footage was much later, like many years later, like decades later, found deep in an abandoned mine in Eastern Europe, which sounds completely fake, but it's real. Salt mines are a good place for archival storage because the humidity is like zero. Event Horizon, cool sci-fi horror. What if faster than light travel made your ship go through hell is basically the pitch of that movie. Has a young Lawrence Fishburne, has the always excellent Sam Neill. Great movie, people love it. If you're a Warhammer 40,000 fan, you'll appreciate it. Tons of 40k fans will make the joke that this is like an unofficial like 40k movie, because it really does feel like, oh yeah, you go through the warp. In 40k you basically do go through hell for faster than light travel. It's great. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's good. It's excellent. Watch Event Horizon. Evil Dead. Original Evil Dead, I think, is just actually good. Low budget horror film, Sam Raimi. The original Evil Dead gets overlooked sometimes compared to everything that followed. I, for one, think it actually holds up quite well. I think it's actually like a good, gritty, nasty horror film. I think it's cool. I would recommend watching it. Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness are usually what people talk about as being the real classics. I'm kind of inclined to say Evil Dead 2 is outstanding but not favorite, or it would be very high in the actually good list. I'll throw an outstanding just because so many other people consider it to be a classic that even if I don't consider it a favorite, it probably deserves to be up there. Basically a horror comedy. Also, is my audio gone still? Or is it back? It's just very low again. Tune it up a hair. There we go. I feel like I just keep checking it when it's in between tracks or something. Evil Dead 2 is basically a horror comedy rather than a horror film. It's fun, it's goofy. If you've never seen Evil Dead 2, you should see Evil Dead 2, even just for like pop culture awareness. It is bizarrely probably one of the most widely referenced and parodied films in history. I'm not joking. Like, of everything on this list that we've looked at and talked about so far, it's probably Alien, Dawn of the Dead, and Evil Dead are like the most referenced films. But Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much, but watch it. Like the obvious example is if you've played Resident Evil 7 Biohazard or Biohazard 7 Resident Evil if you're in Japan. You have a chainsaw duel with Jack, and at one point he says groovy, and groovy is what Ash, the main character of Evil Dead, says when he gets his chainsaw. Army of Darkness, aka Evil Dead 3. Army of Darkness is, I think, very arguably not a horror movie. It is just an adventure. It's horror themed enough. I will probably throw it in just the actually good section. People generally like it more than Evil Dead. Some people would even argue that it's as good as Evil Dead 2. I don't personally think it's as good as Evil Dead 2. It's a fun movie, but it is like much more of like a comedy adventure. It largely drops its horror theming. It is an isekai. He gets thrown. Ash, our protagonist from Evil Dead 2, gets thrown into the past, and he is in a medieval world and fighting deadites in the far distant past. Evil Dead the Remake. Evil Dead the Remake is actually pretty good. Evil Dead the Remake is like, I don't want to put it above the classics, but it's actually surprisingly kind of a good movie. More than I would have expected it to be. And it feels a little strange to put this in actually good ahead of some of the maybe worth seeing films. But I think it is. I think it actually is just good. In a way that I certainly didn't expect. I think most people didn't expect. Evil Dead Rise. Evil Dead Rise is maybe worth seeing. I'll put it in the middle. Evil Dead Rise is sort of a sequel to the Evil Dead reboot. It's good. It is a weird, dumb movie. It has some, and I don't think dumb in the sense that it's like poorly written. I think it's poorly written in the way that like a kid with a gun is kind of irresponsible. It's irresponsible with its themes, I guess I should say. Keith Ballard has a really good video essay about Evil Dead Rise. I would highly recommend that people watch. He has a really good take on the movie, which is basically that like it does really feel like the writers accidentally stumbled on making a statement film, and it doesn't feel like they actually intended on it being a statement film. It just is one, and that's really weird. And I don't want to spoil too much about it, but it's like it ends up having really weird conservative messaging that it probably didn't intend based on everything that the people involved with it indicated. The Exorcist. Without a doubt, Exorcist is outstanding. It's a classic for a reason. Really good movie. It's kind of a drama ahead of being a horror film. Great movie, though. Really great movie. In this category of mega referenced film, along with Dawn of the Dead, Alien, Evil Dead. Exorcist is maybe even more referenced than any of them. Exorcist might be the most referenced horror film, period. Aside from maybe like the original Frankenstein or like the original Dracula. The Exorcist feels very rightfully alongside like the new cinema of the 70s movement, and it's cool to have it in that conversation. Exorcist 2 I don't remember at all, so I'll throw it in needs a rewatch. Exorcist 3 same. The thing I don't remember is that one of these is supposed to be quite good and one of them is supposed to be quite bad, and one of them had the original book author involved, and I don't remember if his involvement contributed to it being good or bad. So that's all very worthless information. One of the many Exorcist sequels, I think there's been more since this one. Maybe I'm wrong. Probably never gonna watch. Faculty. The Faculty, which is, of course, a Robert Rodriguez, I believe, right? Faculty is a... yeah, Robert Rodriguez, 1998. Starring one young Elijah Wood. Jon Stewart also is in it, among many others. Josh Hartnett. This is just a good movie. It's a good movie. It's really, if you know Robert Rodriguez's films, this doesn't feel like one of them. It's a really weird film in his filmography. Because he's kind of like, Rodriguez is known as like the underground do-it-yourself guy. The Faculty feels like a Hollywood movie, not a weird indie guy movie. Alien movie, body snatcher kind of thing. Pretty cool, pretty good. I've only seen it once, but I really liked it. I would probably rewatch that, but yeah. Fallen, I don't know what you are, but you look bad. Fantasy Island, same. Fear.com, infamously bad movie. I have seen it. I don't really remember it, but I'm going to throw it under. Please don't. Fear Street. Don't know what this is. Don't care. Final Destination movies. I have not seen. Even a single one. I don't think I care. I haven't seen them, so I shouldn't be the one to say this. They've never struck me as being horror movies. I guess they technically must be. I don't know. They feel the notion of them appears to me to be dramas that incidentally have violence happen. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off base with that. All right. We've been going now for we've been going for a minute now. It's been where are we in our stream? Actually, I can't see. How long? How can I see? How long have I been going? I'm going almost 2 hours. That's not bad. I really want to keep going. This is going to take a lot. This is going to take a long time. We have a lot of movies to see. And I hate to say it, but I feel like the front half has had way more of the non-scene films than I had initially expected. I feel like we're going to start getting into a lot of the stuff I have seen pretty soon. We got Flies, we got Fogs, we got Frailty, Frankenstein, 11 Friday the 13th films plus Freddy vs. Jason. Seen all of them. Fright Night, original and remake, seen it. Dusk Till Dawn, seen it. There's also a couple sequels, I believe, that aren't here. Don't Know Gathering, have seen Get Out. Have seen Ghost Ship, have seen Ginger Snaps. Haven't seen the Ginger Snaps sequels. Have never seen Ghoulies or Good Son, but Green Room, Gremlins 2, Gremlins, Grudge 2. Never seen Grudge 3, never seen the remake. All the Halloweens. All of them. So many Halloweens. I haven't seen the most recent of the remakes. The last one, Halloween Ends. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Ends. Halloween Ends. Haven't seen that one yet. I hear it's bad, which is too bad because the Halloween reboot's shockingly good. Halloween Kills pretty solid. Happening, I have seen. bunch of the Hellraisers. Sure, Hills Have Eyes. Sure, Hills Have Eyes 2 is missing from this list. That's okay. Some Hostels. Sure, House. Devil's Rejects, House of a Thousand Corpses, House of the Dead. Missing House of the Dead 2. That's okay. Yeah, I feel like I've seen a lot more percentage-wise than what we've gone through so far, which I feel a little bit bad about, but 2 hours is all right. You know, maybe we'll try to stick around. Let's stick around for... let's try to finish out F. So we'll have A through F complete. Final Girls, I don't know what this is. Vaguely intrigued, but not particularly. Firestarter, the original, I would say, is maybe not worth seeing. I don't think it's a good one. I feel really anti-King on this list. I've not seen this, and I'm going to. I like Stephen King. I don't want to be that negative. But I think a lot of his films are not great. There's some good ones in there, but not that many. The Fly, original from 1958. I think it's probably not worth seeing. At least compared to The Fly by David Cronenberg. The Fly by David Cronenberg is absolutely outstanding. Not a favorite, but outstanding movie. Incredibly good movie. I might even kick it up to a personal favorite. The Fly is outstanding. Jeff Goldblum, of course. Gina Davis? Is that what her name is? Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis, and John Getz. Awesome movie. One of the best body horror movies of all time. You know the score. Man invents teleportation device, tests it on himself. Oops, there's a fly. He and the fly get combined. Becomes a Brundle fly. Great movie. I should actually buy that Blu-ray. I mean, honestly, this is like a pretty good way to remind myself, like, oh yeah, if I don't own anything that's in personal favorites, if I don't yet own a Blu-ray of it, I should. I don't yet own Barbarian because Barbarian, believe it or not, years out, like 4 years out from its release, still doesn't have a 4K release. I don't have The Fly either. Alien and Aliens I also don't have, but that's a strategic choice. It's my understanding that Cameron got a little bit crazy with the 4K restorations, and he like did way too much digital scrubbing. So I'm gonna hold off for a few years to wait to see if it gets a better 4K release. But I've owned Dawn forever. I actually want to upgrade Dawn. I would like to get the multi-disc version that has multiple cuts of the film, because I only have the theatrical cut, which is the best version, but I would like to have the ultimate set anyway. But I have Blob, want Barbarian, have Creepshow, want The Fly, for that matter, on the outstanding list. Don't have 28 Days Later. I don't know if I'll ever actually get it. I don't know how much fidelity gain there is to be gained by getting a 4K or a Blu-ray, because it was shot on, I think it was shot on like mini DV or something. Like I think it was shot standard definition. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think it was shot on a digital camera, as I understand it, and I don't know if its visuals need fidelity. Like maybe I should just grab it on DVD. Annihilation I don't have, but it's probably already on my list. Descent, I think, is in a similar case with 28 Days Later. A lot of the film is shot on film, but I think some of the sections are on digital. I'm not positive. Event Horizon I must get. I don't have it, and I should prioritize that. Exorcist, same. Evil Dead, maybe. I'm debating, because I think it was shot... Was it shot on 16 mil? Whatever. I'm holding off finishing the section. Fly 2, starring Eric Stoltz. The bad movie. It's probably actually bad. It's kind of funny bad, but not enough that I'm going to encourage people to watch it just because of it being funny bad. Fog 1980. Maybe worth seeing. Good one. John Carpenter. It's cool. It's pretty goofy. It's not a top tier Carpenter, but it's good. I mean, Carpenter in the 80s is like, how can you go wrong, man? Like, Carpenter in the 80s is like unassailable. Fog remake. Remake? Is it a remake? 2005? I've never seen it. I guess I should. If it's a remake of Carpenter, I'll check it out. Probably not worth it. Frailty, I don't particularly remember, but my general recollection is probably not worth seeing. That probably won't change. Original Boris Karloff, Frankenstein. I actually think is on the better end of the classic horror movies compared to original Dracula, or Creature in the Black Lagoon. I think it's like one of the better ones. Check it out if you haven't. It's not an accurate adaptation of the novel, of course, but no one has that. The Guillermo del Toro version certainly isn't accurate to the novel, which bums me out. I don't know what Freaky is, but it looks bad. Judging a book by its cover over here. Freddy vs. Jason is actually good. It's incredibly goofy. It's incredibly stupid. They hired like a Hong Kong director to do it, so it has like a kind of manic kung fu movie energy to it. Like it's not quite as cartoony as like Kung Fu Hustle, but it has a rubberiness to it that is at times reminiscent of some of the goofier kung fu movies you've ever seen. It's fun, it's funny, it's silly, it's dumb. It was stuck in production hell forever, and I think it turned out remarkably good considering all of the issues it had getting made. It's better than, frankly, it has any right to be. Yeah, I don't know, man. I actually kind of think, even if you're not interested in slashers, it's kind of worth seeing Freddy vs. Jason, because it is like it's a weird and kind of interesting film in its own right, even if you don't care about Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. Jason X goes at the end of the Friday the 13th saga, not the beginning. Here's the remake that goes over here. Now we get the Friday the 13th series in sequence. I have a pretty good mental picture of like what the good ones are versus what the bad ones are. So I'm probably going to do them more in that order than like the chronological order. I'll just say outright, as a starting point, Jason Takes Manhattan Part 8 is Please Don't. It's the worst of the movies by far. I don't have much to say about it. It is exceptionally bad. It's like pretty. I think it's one of the worst like major horror films I've ever seen, which is too bad. 5 is actually bad, maybe bordering on Please Don't. I'll put it in actually bad. 3 and 7 are also probably actually bad. 3 I'm actually going to maybe put at the very bottom of probably not, because 1, 2, 3, 4 have pretty strong continuity with each other. You could watch 3 if you really want like a tight picture of some kind of like saga. 7, though, I think I am going to just put an actually bad. I might have it a little higher up than 5 at least. So now we get to some of the kind of interesting ones. Jason Goes to Hell is a bad movie. Don't get me wrong. Jason Goes to Hell is a bad movie. But is interesting and weird. So I'm probably going to put it like high to middle on probably not worth seeing. Dracula I might actually put at the bottom, maybe worth seeing. Jason Goes to Hell is really weird because it repositions Jason as being like a cursed parasite that can like body hop basically. It's very dumb, it's very weird. But it's kind of interesting. I don't know. I think it's like better than it doesn't need to be good. Our soundtrack is basically ended. There's one more track to go, but I don't want it to like run its way out. So we're just gonna finish this in silence while we finish the F line. So the ones that are kind of interesting and worth looking at, we've got 1, 2, 4, 6, and 10. Basically the even ones. You know, if 8 had been good, you really could have like split the series basically into like even and odd almost, at least as far as the sequels go. Which is it's a bummer that they 8 really screwed up that sequence. X is without a doubt a bad film. Objectively, I actually think it's maybe worth seeing. It's on the low end of maybe worth seeing. It's really funny. It's really dumb. It's so silly, so self-aware. It is an exercise in camp, not an exercise in kitsch. Incredibly ludicrously silly. One of my favorite things that the movie basically wasn't going to get made until David Cronenberg, director of The Fly, stepped in. David Cronenberg helped get it made, and one of his stipulations for helping to get it made was that he demanded an acting role in the film, and he demanded to be killed by Jason. And I think that's really funny and speaks to the kind of like meta awareness that it was pursuing. Jason X famously is Jason Goes to Space. Like it is a completely ludicrous setup of after the parasite, after all these things, it's determined that Jason can't ever be permanently killed, so we need to cryo store him, and that way he'll just never, if we kill him, he comes back, but if we freeze him, we're good to go. So they cryo store him in outer space. And that obviously sets up him getting out of cryo storage and killing people in space. Goofy as hell, real fun. Again, even if you don't watch any of the others, I kind of think you could watch Jason X. Jason X is in a space like Freddy versus Jason. I'm not going to put it all the way into actually good, but Jason X Jason X is actually good in a completely silly, ludicrous sense. It's actually good without being actually good, which doesn't really make any sense, but here we go. Friday the 13th, the original, is probably on the bottom end of maybe worth seeing. It sets the whole saga off. I don't think it's like particularly good, but it's not bad. It's like the most earnest that the franchise ever was in many regards. Friday the 13th Part 2 is, I think, like in many regards the actual iconic one. Famously, Friday the 13th Part 1 doesn't have Jason in it. The twist at the end of Friday the 13th Part 1, sorry, spoiler, is that the killer is actually Jason's mom. And she's doing it to avenge Jason. Friday the 13th Part 2 is like, oh yeah, Jason's actually alive, and he's also killing people. Which is a really silly and weird twist. I think we're maybe going to put this higher in the maybe worth seeing zone. Part 2 is actually pretty cool. it's a fun movie. It's a silly movie. I think it's better about the camp counselor thing that the series is so famous for. Um, it has better defined characters, and is quite effective for that. And now we are down to the last two of the original run. So we've got Friday the 13th, the final chapter, and Friday the 13th, Jason Lives. These are probably the only actually good movies. They're pretty low on the actually good totem pole. They might even only be in the maybe worth watching zone. But 4 and 6 are. 4 is the final chapter, obviously not. But 4 is, I think, kind of the ultimate distillation of everything that had come before. And it was intended to be the final one. At least, like, they actually intended to kill Jason permanently, which is why Jason isn't in 5. He is supposed to be dead. And number 6 is called Jason Lives because they bring him back from the dead. 4 is supposed to be the final chapter. It is kind of the ultimate one. It like draws ideas from all of the preceding 3 films. It has this kind of cool conceit, this weird setup that there's a nearby house that is like a residential house that there's this kid in the house who's kind of like a creepy kid, kind of an outcast, who's really into horror masks, and that ends up coming into play in the plot. It has Crispin Glover in it doing some real goofy dances. Final chapter's real fun, real goofy. It's kind of the ultimate manifestation of the ideas set up in the preceding 3 films, to a point where you could kind of just watch final chapter on its own. But yeah, I think it actually kind of is on the bottom end of being an actually good film. Jason Lives Part 6 is generally cited by fans as being like the best of the franchise. I think that's probably true. The guy who made it took it the most seriously, and he wanted to turn it into kind of like a high gothic camp exercise, and he succeeded. It's cool, it's weird, it's a little bit smarter than it has any right to be. It's not actually a great movie, but I kind of think that like you could compellingly make an argument for like 2, 4, 6 as a trilogy, and that works kind of nicely. And if you're going to throw in one more after that, it would probably be Jason X. Like, Jason X is its own whole bizarre thing. Friday the 13th remake is either the bottom of maybe worth seeing or the top of probably not worth seeing. It's a competent remake that has a bunch of homages to the original trilogy. It's better than a lot of the remakes of the early 2000s, but lacks a lot of the charm. It lacks a lot of the charm of but whether it was camp in the case of like Part 6, or kitsch, which is maybe more like in the case of Part 2. It lacks the charm of the kitsch and lacks the sophistication of the camp. But it's also not entirely incompetent. So, yeah. Fright Night Original is actually good. Cool, fun. And the remake is also the remake is also actually good. Like, rare case of both the original and the remake are like pretty solid. I would say both are worth watching. They each kind of bring their own thing to the table. I think the original's better. I might even demote the remake to high end of maybe worth seeing. I only saw it once, also I think college age, but I liked it. I like the original more, but they're both fun. They're both fun. From Dusk Till Dawn, the horror movie that um, initially pretends it's not a horror movie. I still haven't seen Sinners, I'm sad to say, but Dusk Till Dawn, my understanding is the same twist. Starts off as a movie that you think isn't a horror movie, and then vampires show up. Also, kind of a western, just like Sinners. Famously has George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino playing the main characters. Um, Dusk Till Dawn is probably on the low end of actually good. If you've ever seen that GIF of Quentin Tarantino drinking tequila off of Salma Hayek's toes, that's from Dusk Till Dawn because he wrote the movie. So he wrote his character licking tequila off Salma Hayek's toes. Um, it's good. It's goofy. It's campy. It's ultra violent. I think it's as impressive as the twist might have been once upon a time. I think it's frankly better to just know the twist because, like, it's not a particularly compelling setup. Otherwise, Tarantino's not that good an actor. And the idea that he and Clooney are brothers is hilarious. And there's famously an anecdote about Tarantino kind of pitching that to Clooney, and Clooney kind of being incredulous about the idea. Um, yeah. So we finished out the F row. We have a lot to go. A lot of stuff I still haven't seen, actually, surprisingly. Um, but this has been a nice exercise, even just for the sake of haven't seen but want to. Antlers, As Above, Solo, Autopsy, Bird Box, Black Phone, Brain, Scan, Candyman Remake, Cargo, Chernobyl Diaries, Child's Play, 10 Cloverfield Lane, Collector, Cujo, Dark Skies, Deep Rising, Demonic Toys, and The Fog Remake. Not a bad lineup. I don't know how quickly I'll be able to get through any of those, but um, you know, I this was fun to run through, and I'll see if there's any way I can save this. I hope I can save it because or maybe I can like just I don't know if it'll save in cookies, but we'll continue next time. There's a lot of good ones left to see. Among some great ones that I'm seeing right now, if I never finish this list, I'll just highlight Green Room. Insane movie, like one of the most intense movies I've ever seen. I don't think it's really scary. It's just like ultra high intensity. Halloween, of course, Stone Cold classic. Uh, Hellraiser films are. Oh wow, they only have two Hellraisers. There's way more Hellraisers than that. What's a bummer is the best Hellraiser isn't in this list right now. Hellraiser 2 is way better than the original Hellraiser. Hellraiser 2 is like the best film in the franchise by far. Hereditary, unbelievable. Hills Have Eyes remake, ham-fisted and frankly kind of a bad. It's an intellectually irresponsible film like The Evil Dead Rise is, but still kind of good. I'd love to talk about Hostel some point. Those films, I don't want to defend them, but I also think they're kind of the discourse around them has always been weird to me. Uh, let's see what else. A bunch of Insidious films I'm never gonna watch. Invisible Man reboot remake, very good. Very good movie about gaslighting and abuse and manipulation in a relationship. It awesome. It Follows, also awesome. Jack Frost, but doesn't have Jack Frost 2. I like Jack Frost 2 more. Jack Frost 1 is okay. Jack Frost 2 is better. Jack Frost, Killer Mutant Snowman. Jack Frost 2, he's in a tropical setting. Jaws, of course, a masterpiece. Didn't know there were that many Jeepers Creepers sequels. Legion, not a horror movie. Bunch of leprechauns, so many of them. Haven't seen any of them except the one with Jennifer Aniston. Is it the first one? Let Me In, great. Where's Let the Right One In? I don't want to say much better film, but it's a slightly better film than Let Me In. Malignant, bonkers movie. I cannot tell. If it's intentionally silly or just incidentally silly. Menu's awesome. Midsummer's awesome. One of my other hot takes, The Mist, I don't like that much. It's fine. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. Mother, annoying. We know what we said about annoyingness. My Bloody Valentine, one of the better holiday horror films, surprisingly. Night of the Living Dead, Stone Cold Classic. Did we not have Day of the Dead? Is Day of the Dead not on this list? That's so weird. They have Dawn and Night, but they don't have Day. The third of Romero's trilogy. They also don't have Land. They don't have Land of the Dead, rounding out the Romero trilogy. Well, quadrilogy, tetralogy. Nightmare on Elm Street we still got to get to. Nope is amazing. Old sucks bad. And I'm a defender. I'm a Shyamalan defender, and I still hate Old. Old reminds me of there's a joke about Rod Serling from like Twilight Zone. Just you describe the plot of a movie, and then you have Rod Serling basically say, wouldn't it be fucked up if that happened? Like, that's just what Old is. Like, Old is just kind of an annoying setup that yeah, it would be fucked up if that happened, but it's not interesting. Pan's Labyrinth isn't a horror movie. What else have we got in this list? What else is this list missing? Poltergeist, very cool. Predator, not a horror movie. Predator 2, not a horror movie. None of the Predators are horror movies. Still haven't seen Prey. Prometheus we got down here. Psychos we got. Pulse. Pulse is great. Pulse is like one of my favorite J horror films. What else have we got? Puppet Masters. Purges aren't horror films. Also kind of misunderstood. I don't want to defend them because they're not that good, but I do think that they are misunderstood in their own way. Reanimator dope. Why is there no Reanimator 2 or 3? Resident Evil films. Mostly not really horror films. I guess kind of the first one is a horror film. The rest aren't. But I would love to talk about those. All the Saws, I haven't seen most of them. Love me some Scanners. Seven's not a horror film. Shining, hard to beat. Slither, more early James Gunn. What else do we have? Sixth Sense, I would argue, not a horror film. It just has ghosts. Silent Hill, I'm kind of a defender of. Silence of the Lambs, not a horror film, but great movie. Smile, I have a long statement about Smile. I'm not going to say whether I like it or not. Sometimes they come back and sometimes they come back again. One of the best setup payoff titling schemes. I don't know if I we'll leave that for the future. Uh, Only Terrifier, not Terrifier 2, huh? That's a bummer. Terrifier 2 or Terrifier 3 aren't on this list. I have way more to say about them. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, one of the all-time greats, without a doubt. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, nuts. Bunch more sequels, including the Netflix one, and I have a lot to say about that. Village isn't a horror movie. They Live isn't a horror movie. The Thing, one of the best to ever do it. Thinner, another bad Stephen King. Of course, Train to Busan is good. Tremors, great. Why are there two Trick or Treats? This is the same movie. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm stupid, but I'm pretty sure this is the same movie. These are two posters for the same movie. I love Trick or Treat. It's great, but I'm pretty sure this is the same film. I don't think it got rebooted or anything. Wicker Man, original and remake. Gotta talk about it. So much to say. Us, I like more than a lot of people did. Willard, I like more than a lot of people did. The Witch, hard to beat. World War Z, I have a lot to say about, and I'm not just going to say the thing everybody says, because everybody says, say it with me now, everybody says, it should have been a TV series. Yes, obviously, I'm not going to say that. I have more interesting things to say about it. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of them here. There's a lot of stuff missing, unfortunately. Well, we covered a lot today. We'll see what we get back into next time. So, thanks for everybody who's stuck in there for more than 2 hours of me talking about random horror films. We've only got what, 13 personal favorites and outstandings so far, but a good number of actually goods in the mix. If anybody watches this, I hope this turns you on to some good horror movies. If you're thinking to yourself, I wanna watch something spooky this February, the spookiest month, February. It's so short, it's scary. Yeah, you can watch it. You can watch a scary movie in the shortest months in February. Cool. Okay. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. Watch one of these movies. Maybe go watch Barbarian, and then after the first act is finished, pause, go outside, smoke a cigarette, and decide whether or not you feel emotionally able to keep watching that film after the first act. I would encourage you to do so. Watch The Fly. Watch The Brundlefly. It'll be very gross. Don't eat dinner while watching The Fly. Don't eat dinner while watching Annihilation either. Don't watch dinner while probably watching almost any of these. I mean, Event Horizon, famously gross, cursed footage, salt mine. Exorcist, famously throwing up green evil vomit in The Exorcist. Most of these you probably shouldn't eat while watching, especially Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. That'll scare you off tomatoes forever. That's a joke. Attack of the Killer's Tomatoes is not a scary movie. Anyway, okay. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll keep this rolling some point in the future. And as said, I should get my USB hub. I think it arrives in the mail tomorrow. And I'm hoping maybe tomorrow night I will keep the Resident Evil 2 run rolling, because I would like to finally finish that game. And we only have like 3 weeks until Requiem comes out, I think. So I gotta get some RE content on the channel before that's out. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Rock and roll. Enjoy February. See you.